What is success? Recently, I was talking to my oldest daughter about career and success. And this made me think, what would I tell myself if I had the chance to talk to a 20-year-old me? This series is for the young professional starting his or her professional life. And it's not an easy task. Even more now, the complexity of the pandemic and all the transformation we face regarding the future of work brings an unprecedented challenges. Maybe this tragedy can bring you an opportunity to revisit your career and find things you really like. Before we start, we need to define what success is about. For many people, success is about money, is about fame, is about power. Maybe, but for me, success is all about fulfillment. Fulfillment is directly related with the pleasure of doing something that matters to you. If money is what gives you a reason to live, go for it. I'm not here to talk about how to become a CEO. Maybe you want to become one. Maybe you want to become a musician, a priest, or a basketball player. It doesn't matter. It's all about what makes your career, your work, and your life meaningful. And remember, I'm not a psychologist, an HR expert, or a career counselor. I'm a chemical engineer. I work with project management. I transform ideas into results. From industry power plants to M&A, from roads to digital transformation. And this is why this series is called What Matters. During my career, I learned that passion and reputation associated with adequate level of personal planning are capable of helping you to create options. And options are the best career insurance you can have. It will allow you to do something you love and making your living out of that. You may look at these barrels of port wine behind me, and you may ask why I'm recording this video in Porto, Portugal, inside one of the oldest port cellars. And it's all about passion. I am passionate about wine, especially port wine. 20 years ago, I was here in this same cellar. I was a visitor on my first trip to Portugal. I felt in love immediately for the Douro Valley, the traditions around the port wine, and Portugal. And today, I live here in Portugal. I worked extremely hard to build a path that would bring me here. At the same time, living in Europe was a very, very long shot. But I had the passion for planning a path that could bring me here. It took me 15 years, but it happened. The first concept I want to challenge is the concept of work-life balance. For me, there is no such a thing as work-life balance. The work-life balance concept is based on a simple assumption. When you work, you don't live. And to have a life, it must be out of the work. If you think that way, you are telling me that out of 24 hours per day, you really live maybe 6 hours? Because you sleep 8 hours and you work about 10 hours a day? This is why passion for what you do is critically important. And I'm not saying it's easy. Nothing is easy. But you cannot give up. I worked many times doing things I did not want. And it was not a perfect path. However, every single step was with a mindset that would drive me to where I want to go. Of course, if you do not have this passion, you can still do the work and make your living. But it's harder for you to have a fulfilling life. Always think, what makes your heart beat stronger? What makes you feel outstanding and accomplished? Think about the people that inspire you. You will probably find a strong passion, a drive, and a love for what they do. And this has nothing to do with money. This is above and beyond that. And I know many people that are very successful financially, but they struggle to find happiness and fulfillment. Maybe you will think that I'm passionate because Brazilians are passionate. This is also not true. It's not related to what you say externally or your cultural background. Passion is a feeling inside you. It's the passion that a nurse demonstrates to the patient. The passion that a cook has to serve the best possible food. It's the passion that someone shows when he or she moves to a war-torn country to help children to get a minimum decent education. It's the happiness and the fulfillment that a financial broker demonstrates when her or his economic forecast is right. Or even the passion for seeing that someone is getting engaged, listening to the music you create. This is what really matters. For me, without passion, life becomes gray. I know that people tell you that you need to work hard. And yes, absolutely. I fully agree that you need to work very hard. Even more if you are starting your career. But your life will be much easier if you work really hard on something you love. Passion gives you that extra energy to go a little bit further, and to make a real difference. Don't fall into a trap that looks for shortcuts, because in life, there are no shortcuts. Let's take my work. I work with project management, and I'm absolutely passionate about getting things done. Take things from paper and turn them into reality. Imagine you playing with Lego bricks and transforming them into what we want. This is what makes me happy. Finally, it's important that you should live a life that is true for yourself. Do not live other people's life. Every single one is different. Do not follow a career just because your parents expect you to live this way, or because this is what the society expects from you. You need to live a life that will make you happy, but you need to develop options and have a roadmap to get there. Options are the best career insurance you may have. It's your fortress. In the past, people believed that castle walls like these ones were enough to protect them. Others may have used money as a protection. Others felt protected with religion and faith. Options are at the center of our need and natural desire to mitigate risks and increase safety. Time changed things. I'm not saying that these walls or money are not useful anymore. My view is that options are the key factor that adds a layer of protection on the top of everything else. If you have options and your current condition is not satisfactory, you just move to another option. Of course, this is easy to say, but not easy to do. First, it depends on what is your starting point in life. Suppose you face poverty, violence, war, disease, like billions around the earth. In that case, your path is far more challenging. And this is why now I recognize that the concept of meritocracy is a fallacy. Merit needs to consider fair competition and similar starting points. It's not just giving the trophy to who crossed the end line first. And looking backwards, I myself had a harder, comfortable starting point. My father was a teacher and I had the opportunity to go to a public university. And I remember when I was a chemical engineering student, my father used to tell me that his dream was to see me joining a large oil or chemical company as an intern. And after 35 years, I would retire as a director or maybe even a CEO. I also remember some of the companies the parents of my colleagues used to work for. If you got a job there, you would be awarded also with a house, a car, a school for your kids, a hospital, a club, friends, social life, and everything else. It was an incredible offer. But for me, it was some sort of lobster trap. Sorry for being blunt here. It's all great until the day you decide to leave or the company decides they don't need you anymore. When it happens, you are not only leaving your job, you are leaving your house, the school of your kids, your healthcare. You are leaving your life. It's like a cage. Maybe it's a golden cage. But it's not because it's golden that it's not a cage. For me, the best thing has always been to have freedom. And freedom even to decide to stay inside the cage, but a cage where you have the keys. However, time accommodates you. You think your keys still work, but over time, the old lock stopped working due to the rust and age. And again, times are changing. There is no employment for life anymore. What to do then? You should not become paranoid, but you need to be mindful and permanently test your options. Let's do an exercise right now. Try to answer the following questions. What will happen if I do not get my first job tomorrow? What will happen if I lose my job tomorrow? What will I do if tomorrow my client cancels the contract I'm working on? What will I do if the government changes the law that provides some legal protection to my work? Or even, what will I do if the restaurant I work for closes tomorrow due to COVID-19? If the answer to one of these questions takes you out of the bed tonight, you should start thinking about options. Remember that this could happen to anyone, anytime. You need to create ways to improve your ability and adaptability. And to improve your ability and adaptability, you should focus on 3 things. First, knowledge. You may have just left college or a professional school, but all of you should learn new things. Explore the boundaries and the frontiers of new knowledge. Take learning not as a step towards professional life, but as a permanent process of growth. Today, many learning options are available for free. You can learn how to code, you can learn how to play an instrument by just going on YouTube. Leverage yourself with that. Learn things that you love and don't know. I spend around 1 hour every week learning about astronomy. In the same week, I watch cooking classes. I spend time reading from different political perspectives, trying to understand what is behind such a different thinking. This makes me more aware and more assertive. Second, improve your networking, but the right networking. Networking is a give and share act. Sadly, most of the messages I receive are people asking, selling, or trying to get something from me. It's quite unusual for me to receive networking messages providing insights, telling stories, or sharing something that may matter to me. And this is what real networking is. It's not only things that interest you. You should remember that before you put your next networking message out. And finally, the third way to increase your adaptability is to increase your mobility. Maybe your next opportunity is not in the corner of your street. It may not be a physical office. It may not be in your mother tongue. Mobility is also your capability to operate in different cultures and different languages. Some people were exposed to languages at an early age. However, for the vast majority, including myself, this was not the case. I started learning English at the age of 22. It was incredibly hard, and I still make many mistakes. But it's possible. Go for it. As Nassim Taleb said in the book Anti-Fragile, some things benefit from shocks. They thrive and grow when exposed to volatility, randomness, disorder, and stressors. Sometimes you should opt for some discomfort and challenge to become stronger, better, and more resilient in the future. And that is true for young age and later. How do you think I felt when in 2012, my wife and I decided to move from Brazil to Denmark with our 8 and 12-year-old daughters? For the first time, I left everything behind, including most of my career, to work for the United Nations. It was the first time I was an employee working for someone else full-time. It was also the first time working in a very large and complex institution. It was very scary, really scary, in all senses. But challenges and fears I faced during those 5 years brought me a new perspective of work, diversity, inequality, and poverty. I had an incredible opportunity to live in Denmark. At the same time, I was able to make friends from Niger in Africa, to go to Haiti, to visit Afghanistan, to meet such an amazing group of people that I would not have the chance if it was not there. These years also brought me a different perspective on my work in project management. For the first time, I felt that failure was not related to capital losses, but related to people's lives. It changed completely who I am today. Success and fulfillment are not a one-time shot. They are built brick by brick. This photo is a very important photo for me. It was taken maybe 10 or 11 years ago, and I was doing my annual planning, and I invited my 2 daughters to join me on the exercise. And this is what I want to share with you now. So take a flip chart, some post-it notes. I like different colors. It's helpful for me to understand different aspects. And you should start asking, what is success for you 5 years from now? What will really make you feel excited and you will celebrate if you accomplish? And then you write it here and put at the top in the center. This is your North Star. This is the direction of journey for your professional life. After that, you should go a little bit down and think, okay, to reach to this point today, in 5 years, what I need to do in 2 or 3 years. Then you put it here. Then you should go down and say, okay, to reach to this in 2 to 3 years, to reach my North Star in 5, what do I need to do next year? And then finally you say, okay, to do this next year, what do I need to do now? These are your projects. So what I want here is to show the direction of your journey. To reach this North Star in 5 years, you should go to this path, then in a short term, this, and now this. So you are finding from short term to long term. These will give you a sense of direction. Let me give you a simple example. Let's suppose I want to become a farmer. So my North Star, it's in 5 years, I want to live in a farm and work as a farmer. Remember, I'm not an agricultural engineer, I'm a chemical engineer. So I don't know anything, but this is where my passion is. I want to bring a direction to my life or build an option to become a farmer in 5 years. So to become a farmer in 5 years, what do I need to get in 2 to 3 years that will enable this to happen? So I need to study agriculture. I need to study livestock. I need to buy or lease a property. And then I can say, okay, then what I need to do next year? For example, I can do an online course on sustainable farming. I can do a training, or I can become a member of a farmers association. So I'm looking long term to short term. And this is where your projects will be. So let me give you a different example now. Let's suppose that you want to do a course now on graphic design. And look, I love graphic design. But graphic design is driving me towards the direction of becoming a farmer. Maybe it's good, but maybe it's not for that North Star. You do not need to have one single North Star. You can have 2 or 3. They must be the relevant ones. Things that you really want to accomplish in 5 years, that will make you fulfill your life. And then from here, you have the initiatives. What we need to do now, we need to manage this part here, because usually you have here 1, 2, 3. And down here, 20, 30, 50, 100, different things that will sustain this path. The next step of the process is to map this here. It's exactly to build this. And in order to build this, I need to start by drawing a y-axis and an x-axis. Here I will put cost, and here benefit. What is cost? You may think that cost is just money, the amount you are spending. It's above and beyond that. Cost is much more related to effort, to the stress, to the headache, to the pain of doing that project. And benefit is how that project helps you to reach your path. Maybe it has a good benefit if your direction of travel, if your North Star was a different one. So you need always to keep in mind benefit towards the direction you want to travel. And then basically you will start mapping this. This is a small version. Usually I do this in a very large paper. What you need to do now, you need to start putting the post-its on this map, trying to put them in a relation to their cost and their benefit. So let me use here, and let me put the first one. This is a project that I want to do, one of these ones that I want to do, and I place it here. Low cost, low benefit. Do you know how do I call these projects? Distractors. They are the irrelevant ones. They are very easy to do because the cost, the effort is very low. But the benefit, it is still very low. So it's an irrelevant initiative. If we take this initiative and move up here, then it's a different situation. I'm facing something that has a low benefit, but a very high cost. This is the worst possible idea. This is the worst possible project you may have because the cost is too high and the benefit, it's not, you know, it's like, let me give you just a funny example. It's like you telling me that you want to go to the moon. Okay, the cost of you doing that, I don't even know how to price it. And the benefit for you to become a farmer, it doesn't make sense, right? So it's here. If you move this project from here to this direction here, what you can see? You can see a high cost and a high benefit. Oh, this is where most of the pain and most of the relevant projects will be, because they will deliver the results, but they cost a lot. It's a dramatic effort. For example, my PhD was here up to last year. So it was a very relevant project to myself and to the direction of travel I'm doing, but it's extremely expensive in terms of effort. And finally, this one here. High benefit, low cost. Oh, this is, I would say, it's the dream of every single one. I have a dream to have all my ideas around here. Super high benefit and very low cost. But I need to be honest with you. These are very unusual. Most of the ideas will follow a path like this one. Because, you know, there is no magic. Maybe if you have 100 of things here, it's because you are overestimating benefit or underestimating cost. Maybe you can find one or two pockets of very nice ideas, but most of the things will follow this path. Most of the things will happen like this. They will happen here, 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 around this. It's like this cloud here. It's always around here. Another important thing that you may feel challenged is that you see that I spoke many times about adaptability. Say, you need to be adaptable, you need to have options. And for some of you, you may think, when Ricardo is putting this into place, he's in some ways solidifying me. Not at all. This is why I use post-it notes. This is something that you evaluate here now, maybe tomorrow it's here, maybe it's here, maybe it's here, maybe you change your decision over time. And I want to explain to you, most of the things in life you cannot control. But that small piece you can control, then you should put your DNA on it and make the best of what you can control. And look, if we have all of this ready and something happens, I usually do this once a year. But when COVID-19 arrived in early 2020, the first thing I did, I took this, I put on the wall in my office, and I rechecked every single post. Said, is this benefit still valid? Is this cost still high or low? For example, one of my North Stars is very much directed to travel, to know different things. So I have some post-its that were related to travel. So what happened? They were here, around here. The cost became very high, not because the air ticket became expensive. Travel became much more challenging because of coronavirus. So most of them I had to remove, and others just pop it up. And one example I'm doing it, when you see this series I'm recording now, it's one of my post-its. It's one of my post-its. So as soon as you do all this mapping and move them, you need to start selecting what you want to do. Usually what I do is I start by removing this that I'm calling garbage, because they are just irrelevant and very tough to make. These here, if I'm lucky enough to have something around here, oh, then I will do them. And then around here, I will decide, okay, these are the very hard ones and very good ones. I cannot do everything. So I pick the ones I want to do. And then I start doing them and monitoring them. Usually what I do is I try to put maybe a mark here, or I use colors, and I start trying to map the ones I will do and the ones I will not do. So at the end, I have around 100 post-its, and I pick maybe 30, maybe 40. This year, for example, I'm picking 38, but it's your life, it's not my life. So you need to decide what you will put in yours. One thing that is extremely important, and this is a war that I have many times with myself when I'm doing this, it's the anxiety of doing everything. You look to this and say, oh, this is so great, let me do everything, let me do this, I need to do this. But your day has only 24 hours and you have limited resources. You cannot do everything. You need to select. And I feel that because, for example, I love courses. I love learning. It's something that really drives me, my passion. And I cannot see a new online course. I get crazy. I want to do all of them. It doesn't matter too much the topic, but I want to do that. But what is the relevance of starting 10 different courses and not finishing any of them? It's like starting books. Books is the same. Every time I get inside a bookstore, I want to buy 20 books. And then I struggle to read all of them up to the end. So you need to get things done. In good project management terms, you need to reduce work in progress. Because most of the benefits of what you are doing are related to the conclusion of that, and not just the journey. So if you read one chapter of a book, and one chapter of another, and one chapter of the third one, you are not reading 3 chapters of one book. It's very important to get things done. So you need to select, because your time is limited and your resources. And you select based on the cost, the benefit, and your North Star. And what is driving you towards the direction you decided for yourself. Or building a new option, or for example, Ricardo trying to become a farmer. So everything that helps me here to become a farmer at a lower cost, it's a great idea. Right now, what I suggest you to do, take a piece of paper and start doing this for you. You start doing this. Take a Post-it note and start playing with this. And you will see that many ideas will come up and say, oh God, I don't have anything to help me to get to this in 2 years. So you need to create projects that will create that capability for you. You need to do this, and you need to try and feel what you can do at this time with that. After developing your roadmap covered in the previous episode, it's time to take care of other aspects of your professional life. And one of the most relevant is reputation. It's sad to see when a student asks their colleagues to sign a project without even seeing what it was about. This attitude is not smart at all. Besides being dishonest, it shows a lack of care of their reputation. If it's a bad work, it's yours. If it's a good work, it's not yours. It's a lose-lose game. And it's easy to get trapped by this anything goes game. You must care about your brand. It's who you are and must reflect that on everything. Remember that you are one person. It does not matter if you are at work, in a social event, or at home. It's you. I can see this clearly on social media. Some people still believe that they can have some privacy on these platforms. Unless you have a different definition of privacy, the one thing you don't really have on social media is privacy. It does not matter if you tell me that you share only with a group of close friends. Every time you click on the send button, it's over. What you share becomes public. You must acknowledge that. We have so many examples of political leaders and personalities with old photos, messages, or videos leaked that have damaged their reputation. This is how I see social media, and I use it a lot. Another important point about social media, it's not related to privacy or reputation. It's about who you are. It's very dangerous for you to position yourself as someone different from who you really are. This is why I decided to record this video in a theater. It's easy for you to pretend to be someone that you are not, just because you want to be accepted or you want to belong to a specific group. But this works only for a limited time. Be mindful that any serious company that might be considering hiring you will check your social media. It is as important as your CV. A CV that, by the way, will only portray you as a perfect professional, a superhuman. Companies don't want to only know the best of you. They want to know who you really are. And this leads me to the second point, failure and weakness. Are you ready to share in an interview your biggest failures or your weaknesses openly? Something that makes you feel really embarrassed? Something that makes you feel uncomfortable? And please, do not say your biggest weakness is that you are addicted to work and stressed to get the job done. Don't think that the person in the other side of the table is naive. Be open to show your human side with strengths and weakness. I've messed it up many times. For example, on several occasions during my time at the United Nations, I was arrogant with some of my colleagues. I wrongly assumed that because I was an outsider, I knew more and was more prepared than they were. And as a consequence, I stopped listening. It was a big mistake. I hurt my colleagues with my acts and made decisions that could have been better if I had listened to them. And now, years later, if I had the chance to go back, I would do things differently. Sadly, I cannot go back, but at least I learned the hard way. The third and final point I want to mention is about humility and gratitude. As you move up in your professional life and become more successful, it's natural to start thinking that you are good. Then you start thinking that you are really good. Then you think you have superpowers. And finally, you really believe you are a superhero. I have seen many top executives in my career that are so proud of themselves that they genuinely believe that they know everything. It's more than sad, it's unwise, and it's a terrible example for those who are coming. The further you go up, the more humble you must be. I want to share something that happened to me in 2004. I went to the US for some events and meetings at Microsoft campus in Redmond. One of these events was with Bill Gates. I was incredibly excited. After the event, I asked Bill Gates for a photo. He was very friendly to me. After the photo was taken, he asked to see the image to check if it was good. He knew that the photo was relevant to me. That 15-second act was a clear demonstration of empathy. And that photo is still in my office today. We are now back to where we started, the Dodo River. And one last piece of advice. It's essential to be grateful to everybody that has supported you to get where you are today. From your parents to your teachers, from the doctor that treated you when you got sick to your first boss, from your partner to your friends and colleagues. They made you who you are. And when you have the chance, give back to those who are coming behind you. Never forget where you came from. help them start building their passion, their options, and their roadmap to a meaningful life. Let's make a better future for all of us. This is what really matters. Good luck and take care.